leads me into what I wanted to talk about a little bit about the response to this incident from the NFL, from the commissioner Robert Goodell, um, like the NFL, like the organization as in of itself. I think that all in all, the NFL did a fairly competent and good job. Um, what do you? I'll explain a little bit more later, but do you agree or disagree with that statement?
For me, due to the circumstances that they didn't they knew, I think the league knew that they were gonna need more time to understand the condition of this man's health. Um, so I'll say I think they tried their best. A couple days ago, I said no,
Mm. Okay.
but I've talked
No.
to after hearing you and other people like comments. It's opened up my mind a little more to understand where you may see that. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah. No. I totally get that. I'll explain my side of the story and why I think that they did a competent to good job with this situation. And obviously, anyone here, you're free to agree or disagree with me. This is based off of information that I know and kind of how I have an understanding of it. So obviously, it is a personal opinion. Um, but yeah, so I think that the manner of which they got everything resolved, and when I mean resolved, I mean we're able to, because you guys have to realize that the NFL is an organization. It's not a single entity. It's not something that can just be flipped this way. And I've seen a couple of videos about this, but it's not something that it's not like Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, is sitting at his inside of like a golden NFL box with a button right next to him, or big red button that says, "All right, cancel this game," and he can just press it, and then when he does, then everything just goes like it's just canceled, and everything kind of like switches over and like does all the stuff that it needs to do, and like it's done. Like the amount of time that it took to get everything kind of settled, at least on the NFL side, not so much on the Damar Hamlin side because everything was kind of timely. The medical staff there and but what the NFL did, and so that includes, but is not limited to, uh, postponing the game. Obviously, someone would have had to, and that's probably not the NFL, but contacting the ambulance, University of Cincinnati Medical Center for medical attention. Um, Getting information out to all of the announcers, to all of the major networks that are associated with them, about this news, to get them to talk or like to not talk or talk about it, to actually after they canceled the game, to getting slots to fill the time that game had taken, which at this point, since it was being a game, would be about 3 hours of something that they would have had to fill this with. Um, is immense. That is a lot of phone calls. Like I don't know if anybody's been like tried to get people like in a big organization to try and like change something, but there's a lot of trickle down. And there are a lot of calls and a lot of things that need to be done by a lot of different people to get things the way that they need to be for changes to happen that are very sudden. And so I think that them taking only about an hour to kind of get everything settled, with all the information, I think that was a pretty good job. I think that the reason that they might have initially, and they probably did, say that they were going to come back after a 5 minute warm up is because initially, obviously, just like everyone else, they didn't know they didn't know exactly what was happening, just like a lot of people did. And unless you were directly on the field, there was no way you could have really known until you actually saw medical staff, like the Bill's medical team, like getting him like active CPR, like to understand like the severity of the situation. There was no way that anybody could have known that this wasn't just a different kind of injury. It could have been like a concussion and he fell over like that. Uh, there are a lot of different things that could have happened. So they're treating it like a regular injury, which is unfortunate because obviously, like I was saying before, The NFL is wrought with injuries. That's the name of the game. That's why the sport was the sport was built on a foundation of violence. That's like how the game is played, and so injuries are obviously bound to happen. And so I think that we as fans, the NFL as an organization, and even players themselves to some degree, have grown accustomed to those injuries, uh, which can be anything but regular, from those torn ACLs, PCLs, MCLs, torn pectorals, collarbones, a lot of broken bones, as something that's normal, something that they signed up for. And obviously, every player knows what they sign up for. All the fans know what the NFL knows. They all know what they sign up for. It's a very violent game. But there's a good trade-off that people will take risks for. But yeah, something like this situation right here, I think it brought a lot into perspective, like the finality, I think, of players, how this can happen. Like, this is like a wrong place, wrong time, and it could happen to anyone. And I think that's what really got a lot of the players, at least, both old players and new players alike, so emotional about the subject. It's like understanding that, like, obviously it could happen to you at any time, any place, but it could happen to people people your brotherhood, the people in the football community, especially players, are a brotherhood. They compete against each other, obviously, but they're all a part of the same organization, institution, to be the best at what they do. And so they grow close as people. It's like understanding, like, you're part of an organization with friends and stuff like that. You make friends. Um, and so I think that all in all, after what's all said and done, the NFL did a good job or not. I think that there will be, obviously, there's going to be a lot of clamor for change. Obviously, I don't know if it'll be immediate, because you were right that the NFL is very slow on the uptake for things like this. But it's incidents like this that kind of push the cogwheel along a little faster. So I think we'll see change sooner rather than later. Perhaps there might be some changes in uniform. Perhaps maybe around the solar plexus area, which is where he would have gotten hit. That direct shoulder into the solar plexus area was probably what caused the palpitation, the stopping the heart in the first place. So yeah, I don't know exactly what solutions they'll have for that, or if they'll even announce it before they roll it out. But that's my idea, at least.